If you want to find one of the most resilient and ingenious human societies in South America, you must travel to Lake Titicaca, high in the freezing Andes Mountains of Peru. Imagine waking up in the morning, stepping out of your front door, and feeling the ground moving beneath your feet. You look down, and you are not standing on brown dirt. You are not standing on solid gray rock. You are standing on a thick, spongy layer of wet, bright yellow grass. You look around your small house. The walls are made of dried yellow grass. The roof is made of grass. The small boat tied to your front porch is made of grass. And directly beneath this thin layer of woven yellow plants is the deep, freezing, dark blue water of the highest navigable lake on planet Earth. Welcome to the floating world of the Uros people. To understand why thousands of human beings live on floating yellow rafts at an extreme altitude of 12,500 feet, you must look back hundreds of years into a dark and violent history. Long before the Spanish conquistadors arrived in massive wooden sailing ships, the mighty Inca Empire ruled these high green mountains. The Inca warriors carried sharp metal spears and heavy stone clubs. They conquered the land, forcing smaller, peaceful tribes to surrender their green farms and their brown dirt. But the Uros people refused to surrender. They realized that they could not fight the massive Inca army on solid ground. So, they made a radical, desperate, and brilliant decision. They abandoned the brown earth completely. They walked to the edge of the bright blue lake. They used sharp stone knives to cut thousands of tall, green totora reeds that grow naturally in the shallow, muddy water. They tied these green reeds together using strong ropes, creating massive, thick, floating platforms. They pushed these wooden islands out into the deep blue water, floating away from the violent shore into the safe, empty middle of the massive lake. The Inca warriors, standing on the rocky beach, could not reach them. The Uros people had successfully built a floating fortress. Today, hundreds of years later, this incredible, ancient aquatic lifestyle still survives. But living on a floating island made of dead plants is a constant, brutal, never-ending war against nature. Because the yellow totora reeds are organic, they constantly rot and decay in the dark water. Every single day, the bottom of the island is slowly breaking apart and sinking deep into the cold blue lake. If the Uros people stop working, their entire village will sink into the freezing water, and they will drown. To survive, the men and women must continuously rebuild the ground they stand on. If you visit one of these floating communities, you will see a massive, exhausting daily operation. A rugged, sun-tanned indigenous man, wearing a thick, heavy woolen sweater, rows a small wooden boat into the thick green marshes. He holds a sharp, curved metal sickle in his rough hands. He swings the sharp metal blade, cutting hundreds of tall green reeds. He ties them into massive, heavy bundles. He loads these heavy green bundles into his small wooden boat until it is almost sinking. He rows back to the floating yellow island. He unties the bundles and he spreads the fresh, wet green reeds directly over the old, rotting brown reeds on the ground. He must do this every single week. It is an endless, exhausting cycle of cutting, carrying, and stacking. The ground beneath their feet is literally a living, breathing sponge that requires constant feeding. And building the island is only the beginning of their heavy labor. Because the lake sits at such an extreme, high altitude, the environment is incredibly harsh. During the day, the bright yellow sun beats down through the thin mountain air, burning their dark skin. But when the sun sets behind the massive, snow-capped Andes Mountains, the temperature drops violently. The dark night air becomes freezing cold. The Uros people survive this freezing temperature by wearing multiple layers of incredibly bright, thick clothing. You will see indigenous women wearing bright neon pink, glowing orange, and deep blue heavy wool skirts. They wear colorful woven blankets wrapped tightly around their shoulders. They wear dark black bowler hats on their heads. Inside their small, round reed huts, they build small, carefully controlled fires to cook their food. Building an open, hot, orange fire on an island made entirely of dry yellow grass is incredibly dangerous. One tiny mistake, one glowing red ember, can instantly ignite the entire village, burning their floating homes to the dark waterline in a matter of minutes. To prevent this, the women build small, heavy clay ovens, placing them on thick, flat rocks to keep the burning red fire away from the dry yellow floor. Over this small smoking fire, they cook their daily survival diet. The deep blue water of Lake Titicaca is their absolute lifeline. Early in the freezing, dark morning, before the sun rises, the local fishermen row their small boats out into the open water. They throw large, heavy nylon nets into the deep lake. They pull up massive, shining silver lake trout and small, fat kingfish. They bring these wet silver fish back to the yellow island. The women use sharp metal knives to cut the fish, frying the white meat in hot bubbling oil over the clay oven. They eat the hot fish with boiled round potatoes, which they trade with the farmers living on the solid green mainland. But they do not only eat fish. The totora reed itself is a source of food. If you pull a fresh green reed out of the water and peel back the dark green skin, you will find a soft, white, crunchy core. The children sitting on the woven yellow floor eat this white plant all day long. It tastes like fresh celery and is packed with natural water and vitamins. They use the yellow reeds for absolutely everything. They eat it, they build their houses with it, they sleep on it, and they build incredible, magnificent boats with it. The traditional Uros boats are beautiful masterpieces of ancient art. They are shaped like giant yellow dragons with large carved animal heads at the front. The men weave thousands of dry yellow reeds together tightly to create these massive, floating vehicles. But despite their incredible resilience and their beautiful traditional clothing, the modern world is slowly tearing this floating society apart. Today, the massive Inca army is no longer a threat. The new threat comes from the sky. Every single day, loud metal airplanes land at the nearby concrete airport in the city of Puno. Thousands of wealthy foreign tourists carrying expensive digital cameras and glowing smartphones arrive at the edge of the blue lake. They pay paper money to ride loud, fast motorized metal boats out to the floating yellow islands. For the Uros people, this foreign tourism is their main source of survival income. When the loud motorboats arrive, the local women line up in their bright pink and blue wool skirts. They sing traditional songs. They sell small, handmade wooden souvenirs, colorful woven blankets, and miniature yellow reed boats to the smiling tourists. This money allows them to buy modern plastic solar panels, which sit bizarrely on top of the ancient yellow grass huts, providing a small amount of electricity to power a single glowing light bulb or a small color television. But this heavy reliance on foreign tourism has turned the ancient floating villages into something that feels like a living museum. The authentic, harsh survival lifestyle is slowly fading behind a mask of smiling performances for the digital cameras. And the younger generation is feeling the heavy weight of this artificial existence. Many young teenagers who grew up walking on the soft, sinking yellow grass dream of feeling solid gray concrete beneath their shoes. They watch the modern television programs powered by the blue solar panels. They see fast modern cars, large brick universities, and comfortable, dry houses. They are tired of the freezing, damp cold that seeps up through the wet floor every single night, causing deep pain in their bones. They are tired of the endless, back-breaking labor of cutting green reeds with sharp metal sickles just to stop their house from sinking. Many young Uros men and women are packing small bags and leaving the floating islands. They take a fast boat to the loud, polluted city of Puno on the solid mainland. They get jobs in modern restaurants, driving heavy metal taxis, or working in large concrete hotels. As the youth abandon the blue lake, the older generation is left behind to cut the heavy green reeds alone. It forces us to ask a deeply uncomfortable question. Will the Uros people eventually disappear? Will the floating yellow islands finally sink into the dark blue water forever, becoming nothing more than an ancient myth? The answer is complex. But if you look at the deep, wrinkled, sunburned face of an old Uros fisherman pulling a heavy silver fish out of the freezing water, you will see a profound, unbreakable stubbornness. These are the people who defied the greatest empire in South American history. These are the people who looked at a deep, dangerous lake and decided to build their own ground. To live on Lake Titicaca is to exist in a state of constant, exhausting creation. It is a life that requires you to physically build your world every single morning. It is the smell of wet green plants and dark blue water. It is the freezing wind blowing against a thick, bright pink wool blanket. It is the feeling of absolute freedom, floating disconnected from the heavy brown earth. The modern world is loud, and the solid cities are pulling the children away. But as the golden sun sets behind the towering snow-capped Andes mountains, casting a brilliant orange glow over the calm blue water, the floating yellow islands are still there, and the people of the reeds are still standing.